Welcome, guys. Welcome to another live stream update. So welcome new investors. New investors are needed here for sure. Welcome Apex Predator. Yes, it could either go up, down, or sideways. And as we've seen it lately, it's been going a little bit sideways, a little bit up, and a little bit down. So you're in the right place. Welcome Oceania. How you doing? Thank you for that. Welcome Peter. What's happening? Welcome Greg. Welcome back. Welcome back, Corda. So as you know, the cryptos are definitely showing a sign of life after the May, June crash, you could call it a mini crash, but was it really a crash or is it just part of a larger pattern? Now, because it's obviously cryptos, everything goes up and down in large percentage terms, but does that actually mean that it's finished? Goodbye, good night? Not really, as you know. So it's not just me who's been saying this. It's also pretty obvious it's become pretty mainstream at the moment that cryptos are looking good, right? So, I was talking about this at the lows. So I did notice a lot of people were saying to short this at the lows. And that's the problem with most people is they don't sell high and buy low. They do the opposite, buy high and sell low. It's pretty ridiculous, right? But you just have to look on the TradingView chat to see what people are thinking because they're all kind of herding together in the same way. So it's kind of funny, but that's what it is. So obviously Gregory Mannarino has been, talking about that as well. He's very bullish because of the Fed. So the Fed is definitely not ready to taper yet. But there is a lot of talk about September being something's going to happen in September, right? So I hear this a lot, and it's very interesting because according to my analysis, September's around the time that we're going to see the top of cryptos. So also the top of the Dow, okay, the Dow Jones. Now, in terms of the US dollar at the moment, it's definitely just getting ready to go down, but it's still hanging around that area where it's, looking pretty strong, right? So it's interesting that cryptos are not dropping at this point, considering the US dollar is looking like it's getting stronger, right? But in reality, the US dollar is completing the final leg up and it's pretty close to hitting that now, right? So at this point in time, we're literally about 0.15% off hitting that high to complete the pattern that started when crypto started to crash, which was around the end of May, right? So to me, it's actually no surprise that cryptos are ignoring the US dollar because it's simply put means nothing, all right? So for a lot of people out there who are still thinking that this is bearish for cryptos, well, might get a little bit of a surprise when it doesn't go your way. So at the moment, I can see that, Bitcoin is hovering around what, 45,000 US still. So if you think that that's bearish at this point, then probably not doing too well in terms of, well, it depends where you shorted it or when you sold it or whatever. But at this point means nothing. Right. So that's the first thing. So the next thing to talk about is crypto regulation. right? So crypto regulation has picked up a bit of traction lately with the latest proposed bill in cryptos. I was reading an article by Gary Gensler basically yesterday or today, a bit of both. I reread it. So, as you know, Gary Gensler, he's an MIT professor, I suppose. He's also got a lot of experience in the financial markets. So he's in there with the people who know stuff about financial markets and SEC. Well, the word or the acronym SEC, I'll touch on that in a minute because that's another one that you should probably know about. So if you don't know exactly what the SEC is all about, then most likely you haven't done your research. Okay. I'll touch on that in a second. I'll give you I'll give you a clue as to where to find the information that might give you some evidence or some proof on what I'm saying, right? Anyway, so Gary Gensler is basically talking about cryptos in a way that is regulatory. Okay, so even though the guy seems like he's really interested in, you know, this new technology, he's also more interested, obviously, because he's been elected while being brought into the SEC, that, you know, he's basically, he's on their side. Okay, he's not on anybody else's side. So you can't expect this guy who seems like a nice guy to be, you know, on our side. He's not. So basically, they want to bring regulation to the entire crypto space to protect the investors. Now, whether or not that's true, you have to understand what the SEC is all about first in order to really comprehend their motives, right? The SEC says they want to protect, just like the government says they want to vaccinate you, right? So I don't know what you think about the vaccination process or whatever, but it's like the SEC saying they want to regulate you. Okay, it's the same kind of thing. It's usually never for your benefit. Okay, so if you're thinking that it's a good thing, it's probably not going to have an upside to it. So um, it never does, right? Anything that is relating to taxing you or taxing the broker or taxing anything, it just means that they want a piece of the pie. Okay, that's all it means. Okay, so it's okay to think that, you know, oh, we're going to have some clarity, because yes, we all need clarity. So then everybody knows that the cryptos are going to serve their purpose and they all have their use cases and everybody's going to love that and it's going to change the world. Okay, so as I've said many times, at this point in time, we're still in a bear market, right? Since 2017, we're in wave B. We're actually about to finish wave B, right? So we're still got to see wave C, D, E. Okay, wave C, D, and E. So we are not anywhere near finish this bear market, which is not a bad thing because there's a lot of profits to be made. But knowing the waves gives you this perspective that, one, we're not going to see the end of cryptos, okay? Because this is something that you cannot change. It doesn't matter who you are, right? Two, they need us like we need them. Well, wait, we don't need them. They need us. But they're trying to make us think like we need them, but we don't. Okay. And this brings me to this other point that I wanted to talk about is that, you know, Gary Gensler, he mentions in this article or this piece about what he thinks about cryptos, is he mentions that, you know, this is for the good of, you know, the sector because it could help against price manipulation. But the thing is that the price is based on human psychology. Okay, so as we know, we can predict these patterns, and I have been tracking them, and I will continue to track them. So therefore, what that just tells me is that they just want a piece of the pie. So really, price manipulation, really? Okay, so if you want to talk about price manipulation, let me talk to you about the SEC. Okay, so if you ever heard of the Corbett report, this guy, James Corbett, he's actually not banned off YouTube yet. Can you believe it? He's actually still around, right? I'll drink to that. Soft drink to that, right? And so basically, James, very active still and bringing the truth on all sorts of false flags, you could put it, basically, and highlights a lot of problems in the system, right? So there's this video that he has called "The Markets Are Rigged." Okay, I suggest you watch that video. That video, it basically highlights everything that is wrong with everything right now when it comes to the people who are in charge, right? The Fed, the SEC. And if you want to go deeper than that, well, you can go deeper than that. I can definitely give you some info on what's going on with all these lovely organizations that are in charge of the world today, who are all have this lovely agenda for total world domination, right? And it's no joke, right? It's literally no joke. So whatever, right? So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, so the SEC's basically run by people who have their own interests at heart, as you will find out. So therefore, who is really regulating or who is really trying to regulate the crypto market, right? And that is the point, right? That is the point. The point is that the regulators aren't regulated, and the regulators need to be regulated. And that's the whole point. Oh, hello there, Shrimp. How are you? Good to see you on the live stream. Good to see you. Right. So continuing on with that, we need to just be aware that this bill that is being talked about in the media as of late, right? It's probably most likely designed to not get people in on this rally that's happening right now in cryptos, right? In fact, there's a lot of FUD going on across the board to suggest that the Fed is going to be tapering and all this BS, right? Which is literally just designed to get you to think that this is a top. For whatever reason, across the board, gold just crashed 10% in a matter of hours recently. So, it's sort of going to send people into this frenzy of disbelief and worry. But in reality, it's not the case. It's basically just watch Gregory Mannarino. If you don't understand how deep this is, the Fed will keep buying it and they're not ready to stop buying everything right now because it's not time yet. Now, the waves can definitely tell us when that's coming. Welcome, Johnny P. Good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. So the Fed is going to eventually stop buying everything for a period of time. Everything's being set up in a way, especially with the interest rates, and that's a long process that's been happening for a while now. The rates will eventually bottom once the US dollar tops. After this US dollar bottoms, it's going to go up, as you know, I've been saying it. So basically, it's just like it's being set up to collapse, right? Everything that's happening right now, like if you think that these rallies going on, especially in the Dow Jones, is normal during a pandemic where basically small businesses have been completely eliminated due to lockdowns and other restrictions and measures put in place, then, you know, if you really think that these rallies are real, then obviously you're missing the point. You're missing a piece of information that is literally telling you what is happening, and that's the Fed. The Fed is buying everything up. So what does that mean when the Fed buys everything up? It means that they have total control. So once they continue to do what they do, they then have the power to pull the plug at any time. Great reset. So potentially there could be a situation where they decide that, things are overinflated or something, and that time is coming, basically. Okay, so I'll switch to the chart now quickly. Well, quickly as in let's switch to the chart. But first, let me bring up this chart on the screen. Now, I do like to talk about a few things first before we get into the technical, because there are a lot of things going on that relate to the technical. So to me, it's always technical first and foremost, but it'd be childish to think that there wasn't an underlying reason for everything. But human behavior is predictable, so therefore we must understand the patterns, and that is what Ariaswave is all about. So if you're looking at this chart right now and you can see a bunch of squares everywhere, that's basically zoning in on where we are right now, and that is meaningful in this D wave pattern. Okay, so this is a chart that I have not changed. It's been the same for a little while now, and all that it means is that we are in a type 2 expanded zigzag, right? So in essence, we have a zigzag that is distorted like nothing you have ever seen before. Now, how do I know that? It's because I created Ariaswave and understand the waves. Big deal, right? Big deal. I can say that to the cows come home. The proof will be in the pudding. And that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. Literally, I look forward to these waves and producing more updates along the way. I like Gregory Mannarino. I understand all these aspects of the market, right? This is merely a representation of the human behavior. So whether that's the Fed, not the Fed, it's still human behavior, right? Anybody who says that we humans are destroying the planet, right? The truth is we are part of the planet. Anything within the planet is a natural occurrence, no matter how crazy it gets, okay? Good morning, Joshua. Welcome to the live stream. So, okay. So basically, we're looking at the internal structure here of wave D. Now, the wave D that I'm talking about, I'll highlight it here because this might not be immediately obvious. It's this D wave here. Okay. All right. So this D wave here is literally the D wave in question, right? So this internal D wave is unfolding. So the zigzag in here basically goes A, brackets, A, B, C, D, E, and then D. The C wave in brackets of the D wave, okay? So once we get that D wave completed, okay, then we can start basically creating the real D wave. So okay, so this may seem a bit weird, right? But the D wave inside this zigzag, okay, so how am I going to explain this? So let's just look at this box here for now. Okay, So this D wave, so you have the green A, the orange B, the red C, and then you have this D up here. So within that D wave, you had this expansion of this D wave. Now I'm going to show you an example of this that just recently happened in Stellar. Okay, this is where it gets really cool because I have a real example to show you. Okay. Now, so basically you see like a small A wave, right? And then you see that's coming next, if we're to believe this is a D wave, you have a large C wave, okay? So anything in between the A in brackets and the B is part of the correction of the D, okay? Now, if I just go back a step and just show you that again without all the fancy green stuff, I'll do it again, right? You got the A in brackets, and then you're going to have the C in brackets, okay? You have everything, every wave in between, which is A, B, C, D, E, right? You have that in this area here, okay? All right, cool. So you saw that. So keep that in your mind, okay? Because I know that can seem pretty crazy, right? So that's a D wave. And then after that D wave, just before we move on, you're going to see the E and then the final C, okay? But just for now, keep that D wave in your mind, okay? Now let's go over to Stellar, right? And this is where things get super cool because I'm going to show you the exact pattern again happening here. And you're going to think, what? Well, maybe, but this D wave is very similar, right? Now we had the ABC happen quick, but then you saw this giant mess of a D wave, right? And it's exactly the same thing, right? You had a small wave A, and then you had your kind of longish wave C. But in between that, you had A, B, C, D, E. This area is the same, right? So that's why I say to you that this here is E wave. And once we break this magenta line, we go up. Okay. So literally in this particular case here, and don't get this mistaken with the previous chart, I'm only trying to get you to focus on the D wave here. Okay. This is a different chart. It's not the same kind of pattern. This is a wave 2, right? I do not have time to explain the whole thing to you right now because this is Ariaswave. You got to learn the program. You'll learn everything, right? And we have a secret Facebook group as well. But anyway, in this case here with Stellar, you can see that what we're seeing here okay, so anybody who's wondering who Oceania is, that's my daughter. She's hacked into this live stream and she's trying to override the system, right? So I'd be wary of her if I was you. Right. So anyway, continuing on. Now we have this D wave, we had this E. Now I literally predicted these whole moves. So if you don't remember that, go to my trading view and look at my last couple of ideas. Okay, I literally said at this point here, and I'll say it again, at this point here, I said we're going to see one more move down, one more high, and then a 5-way move down for E. Literally said that completely. Okay. So we saw that. I said it's going to end around the dotted line, but it didn't have to go quite down that low. And now we just need to see a break of this magenta line right here, right? Now, once we see the break of that magenta line, it's going straight up. Wave 3 has begun, okay? because that would be the end of wave 2. Okay. 1, A, B, C, D, E. Now, the only difference with the waves is that they can be expanded or they can be just pretty straightforward, right? Now, Ariaswave teaches you that stuff, right? I have members. Joshua here online is my member. Oceana's my daughter. Completely different story there. She doesn't know the waves yet. She's too young. Yeah, so Bretton Woods. Okay, Johnny P, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's not going to be any kind of gold standard. Okay, it's just not possible. It does not fit the Great Reset agenda, because in the Great Reset agenda, it probably involves a little bit of universal basic income, which is probably going to be tied to central bank digital currencies. So, probably part of the reason why they're trying to make everything shut down, lockdown, whatever, is because eventually they're going to want to try and get you to fall in love with their universal basic income that they give you, right? And this is going to lead to a social credit score system, hence, or AKA vaccine passports or health pass or whatever they want to call it. And they'll get you hooked on that money like a drug addict if you give them, some drugs. And then if you do not behave yourself, if you go against the system, they will cut you off, basically, right? Basic income, basically, right? But with central bank digital currencies, the type that they're proposing, they have the ability to basically switch off your account, or there's many different names for it, but yeah, basically delete you or suspend you from the system if you do not comply. Right now, if you think that that's a bit far-fetched, well, why are they trying to force this vaccine on everybody? There's probably a reason for it, because I don't know, you make up your own mind and watch some Corbett report, James Corbett, Corbett report, right? So just take it with a grain of salt, but understand that this is all heading somewhere, and having a gold standard probably isn't going to help them with what they're trying to do, and it wouldn't work anyway, right? It's just not possible, right? Obviously, things have gone out of control, and obviously 2021 marks 50 years since Nixon removed the gold standard. So how can we go back on that when it was by design, right? It's by design. 2021 marking the 50th anniversary. These guys are chucking a party right now because they've achieved basically the largest chunk of their goal, and there's not much left in order to control society. So, what can you do, right? So, I mean, stimulus checks, universal basic income. I mean, it starts off as stimulus checks, right? But eventually it'll be a case of wiping out the middle class, right? So it's a little bit too early to talk about that right now, because it's only just starting to flourish. It's not even flourishing yet. It's literally, the seed was planted a long time ago. The little, the little flower, or the little, how do you call it? The little stem has started to poke above the ground now, and we're starting to see things for what they really are. Okay. But the way things are going, right, these extended lockdowns and these, it's pretty obvious that they're pushing this hard, right? Now you got all these variants, right? So it started off as COVID-19, and then it was like, oh, we're going to probably have mutations. It's like they could predict the future, right? and then it became a Delta variant, and then now we have Lambda, and then I even hear Ultimate COVID. It's like, this is like a Mortal Kombat fucking movie, right? And it's like, what the hell's going on? There's probably even more coming down the pipe, and it might even be other false flags coming down the pipe. You know, it could be an EMF attack, it could be power grid failure leading to internet outages. God knows, right? But they've got to distract you from what's going on, so you just think that it's normal now, and you start to focus on something else, right? It's some kind of programming, it's some kind of desensitization that's going on right now. It's just, it's obvious with the markets where the money's going, right? So follow the money. That's the best way to know what's happening. Follow the money. Okay. There's no other way to know what's happening. So regardless of what you're seeing on your television, I don't even watch television. What is a television apart from the thing I watch, you know, popcorn time on or something, right? What even is a television? It's just a monitor, right? Because to actually get the signal from a TV station is literally like poisoning your mind, right? So don't watch TV. It's disgusting. It's actually the opposite of what you want to know. What you do want to know is the truth. And trust me, you're not going to find it on that signal, on that transmission, right? You're better off watching the Corbett Report or Gregory Mannarino, or if you're really even more serious, go find Alex Jones on the internet. You'll find him, and he will literally blow your mind. Right now, I am in no way affiliated with these people. I literally only do the waves. I just know that there is information out there that is a lot better than the stuff that you're fed in a lot of articles, right? Even Zero Hedge is like a neo. Anyway, they're starting to attack the alternative media, right? They're starting to attack it. So you got to be careful with what you read, what you consume, because you're going to get all sorts of infiltration news, right? So just watch that. Watch that. Be careful with that. Okay. So anyway, so back to the chart, which I have drawn on with lovely colors. We're still in this process. So what I believe is happening here is literally we're at the last point of this area here, right? You can call it the Jesus cup, right? So what happens after we hit that top is we go up. It's like a straw, except that straw is going to be long and it's going to go all the way to 80 cents, right? So I'm taking my profit at 80 cents. Okay. So I'm just telling you what's going to happen. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I'm sure in my future live streams, I will show you, but it's just the waves. Okay. It literally, this is part of a larger pattern. Okay. I do not try to predict the markets. Hell no. I literally just know the pattern that's forming. Okay. You want to know what the pattern that's forming? Fine. Here, B wave, we have A since 2017. Now we're in a B wave. We have A, B, C, D, E. That last move down was an E. Why? Because it fit into what is considered to be an E wave. Okay. This is an expanded type 2 zigzag. In order to finish that zigzag, we need one more move up. That's it. That's what I'm going based on. I'm not going based on any indicator, oscillator, shoe shine boy, article, or hype, or chat, forum, whatever. No, it's just a pattern. Learn the pattern. Okay, I've already explained what Bitcoin's doing. Do you want me to show you? Okay, I'll show you. Just because you said so, right? So Bitcoin, now let's just get rid of all the fancy drawings for a moment, okay? Bitcoin is in, okay, I can't really, okay. So this is a zigzag since the lows in 2018. This is just a zigzag. Yes, the C wave's longer, and that's because we had a pandemic where, people thought that digital money is the key. And you know what? Investors, like institutional investors, thought that that was a great idea. So a lot of them, like Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, and God knows who, piled in, made the C wave longer. But the C wave's not over yet. Literally is in the last wave, wave 5 of the C wave. Now, I said this was going to happen when it was down here. Down here. Here. I said this was going to happen. So it's already halfway there. So either I'm crazy or I don't know. You tell me if I'm crazy, but it's already going there. Okay. So XLM is going to follow suit. No, so the point I'm trying to make is that this is still a zigzag, but it's a different kind of zigzag. And I have 3 kinds that I teach, right, as a part of Ariaswave. Okay, so there are 3 variances in a zigzag. Now, if you want to learn them, just, just learn the program. I mean, what's wrong with you? If you don't care about that, just keep watching my live streams because I'm going to tell you what's happening anyway. So it doesn't really matter either way. I don't care. It's fun for everyone who's involved. And we have the peace of mind because we know what to expect. Now, what's going to happen when this thing hits a new high? It's going to crash, right? That whole SEC, that whole intervention by the SEC, regulatory intervention, is going to crash cryptos. It's going to sink it. Okay. Now, I don't know why these waves always seem to give us an idea of what's going to happen, but for some reason, it's just baked in the cake, right? It may seem really crazy, right? Because it's just a bunch of squiggles on a chart. But for some reason, the squiggles on a chart are predictable, which means humans are predictable. Now, what's not predictable about the SEC trying to get a piece of the pie on the crypto market? What you tell me what is not predictable about that? Literally, it's a kid in a candy shop. Okay, he's been standing there for so long, and they've literally brought out every candy in the world, and the kid has he's been watching the whole time, and he's been very patient, and he's just decided now that that's it. He wants a piece of that pie. So what is he going to do? He's not just going to stand there. He's going to get some of that pie. He's going to stick his face in it, and he's going to eat it. And that's the SEC, right? They want some, and they're going to get it. Okay. And if you think they're not going to get it, well, I'm sorry, but they're going to get it. But what does that mean for everybody else? Okay. It just means that we're going to have to endure a crash in cryptos. Temporary. Okay. Temporary. Because even the SEC knows that once it crashes, they will be buying it. And you know what? Eventually, who's going to own a lot of cryptos is probably going to be the establishment, right? Who is going to be benefiting from a lot of this technology, especially once it's regulated? The establishment, the banks, right? What is XRP and XLM trying to do? Replace the financial system. What is the Great Reset all about? Replacing the financial system. Well, sort of like helping and guiding and having a way for governments to create these new CBDCs, right? They need somewhere to create them. And like Stellar is a good example of how the UK government has decided to create CBDCs on Stellar network. It's no secret. You just do your research, right? You got a Google browser, Google what CBDCs use Stellar. I don't need to tell you that here. You can just look that up yourself, right? So, okay, beautiful. Everything seems pretty normal. Let's go to the dollar chart, US dollar chart. Okay. Now, I have taken my labels off here. I'll put them back on for a sec, and then I'll take them off. It's like Christmas trees, right? You know, what's the long-term pattern of the US dollar? Oh my God, it's an A wave. Where are we now? An E wave. Have we not seen this pattern before? Of course we have. Patterns are fractal, right? That's the thing you need to know. As long as you understand how to read them, and trust me, I've done all the hard part. I've done all the hard work. I can show you, right? But the hard part has been done. Now, what's happening now is literally a slow motion train wreck. Okay. It's the US dollar literally completing a B wave. In brackets, it's a correction that started back when, let's see, it started back in 2009. Oh my God. Is it a surprise? No, it's not a surprise, right? The B wave was expanded to look like a 5-wave move. Why? Well, the euro collapsed and all this stuff happened, blah, 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 right? But it's an A, B, C, D, E. Now, how do I know that? Well, apart from spending a long time understanding the patterns, there is no other move that has this kind of pattern. Simple as that. There is no other move that has a 5-wave, a 3-wave, and a 5-wave apart from a CDE pattern. Okay. So it's literally a given that this thing is bottoming out, going to make a new high. That new high is going to be the great reset crash that's coming in the next year to year and a half. And that's it. Okay. Not a secret, not a big deal. We just want to make money. We don't give a shit about this crap, right? This is just BS crap, right? I just want to make money. So that's why I'm doing this, because I'm going to bring y'all for the ride, along for the ride. And those who want to learn the waves, learn the waves. Those who don't give a shit about the waves, watch the live streams, watch the ideas on TradingView. You know, sign up to Twitter and follow me on Twitter so you know when I'm going to do a live stream, whatever, who cares? But the point is that I'm going to be tracking it from here on out, and you're going to see this pattern play out, guaranteed. Guaranteed. I guarantee you, right? Because it's just a fractal pattern unfolding in this way, and it's going to happen. All right. Johnny P says, Digital Pound Foundation, a company just formed in the UK by the directors of Ripple. Wow. Check out on Company's House plus Visa acquiring Currency Cloud, a partner with Ripple. So sellers creating CBDC, what will XRP do? Okay. So the way I see it, I like both of them. Okay. I like both Stellar and XRP. And I've mentioned that many times. Now, the only reason I'm not covering XRP at this time is because they're all destined to perform the same pattern. Okay. Both, okay, at least XRP and XLM. Whatever, who cares? The point is that there will come a time where everything is going to crash to basically levels below 2020, okay? And that's going to be the US dollar performing this fatality on the markets, okay? That's going to be what I consider, in my honest opinion, anything that could be possibly considered the Great Reset. Apart from that, there is nothing nothing substantial that I can see that's going to cause anything that even resembles anything like a great reset. The great reset will be like debt and mania, bubble, hyperbole, absolute insane gambling, greediness in the markets, egged on by MSN, mainstream media, just literally going to capitulate when the US dollar bottoms. And it's going to perform this move that is literally going to be the counterparty, right? And to really illustrate this point, let's go to the weekly chart because this is absolutely astonishing, right? So you have your A wave here. Now, this is a really lovely long-term chart. To understand this, you really need to know Ariaswave, okay? It's this thing goes beyond, right? It's just getting to understand it all was pretty taxing and time consuming, okay? But this is a zigzag, right? This move here, this is a zigzag, right? So let's make it a green line because it's an A wave, right? So this entire move since 2008 in the US dollar to the upside has been a correction of a larger B wave to the downside, right? Because the A wave ended back here. It was a small A wave that ended in 2001, okay? So now we have a B wave that's about to go to the downside. So it's all fractal, right? So you had your A in brackets. So this move up is going to be at least as long as this A wave. So you had your A, B, C, D, E. Then you're going to have that final move. It's quite simply put, a bloody zigzag, right? Just like this thing back here was a zigzag here. See this here? See this crap, right? It's the same freaking pattern, right? The same freaking pattern. It took me 10 years to figure it out, but hey, we got there. Now that is the key. We're going to see the same shite happen, okay? So that's going to coincide with the 10-year bond or the bond yield absolutely hitting the lowest point in 5,000 years. 5,000 years, right? The lowest possible point. Now, do you not think that this is part of a plan? Do you not think that we happen to be in a pandemic during this particular point in time when the 10-year bond is at a 5,000-year low? If you think that's just a coincidence, then I think you're out of your mind. You need to think a little bit further down the pipe. Okay. There's a reason for all this stuff. And it's literally to wipe out the middle class. It's literally so we can hand over the keys to our existence so they can just dictate our lives. Okay. So there's an underlying reason for everything, is what I said at the beginning of the video, live stream. All right. That's where we're all going. So anybody who has decided to buy 59 houses in the last decade, okay, I hope you have them paid off completely before this happens in the next 1 to 2, maximum 3 years. Because then we're really going to know if your shit strategy works. Because I'm telling you, when this thing happens, you're probably going to be more worried about how much your food costs rather than how much a house costs. And that is the punchline of this video, that there is, in a nutshell, where it's going. But it also means that we're going to see probably some pretty crazy hyperinflation. Okay. So yes, we're seeing some inflation right now. And as the Fed says, it's transitory. Yeah, transitory to what? Transitory to a deflationary collapse, followed by hyperinflation, Weimar Germany style hyperinflation. If you haven't done your research, watch Milton Friedman's video on money and inflation and Mike Maloney's series on money, right? Real money and the different forms of money and all that in between, including printing money or coin clipping, which is what they used to do. And also be mindful that inflation also happened in the coinage era, right? Silver coinage era. So inflation is not just happening, doesn't just happen in a, money printing environment. It also happens in a coinage era, regardless of anything. It's just human behavior because humans get greedy after all. Come on. If you were in power, you'd get greedy too. Well, not necessarily, but you might, you never know. Well, that's why they call it the scamdemic, Mr. Johnny P. Okay. That's right, Michelle. There's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same thing on repeat. And that's probably why things like the Great Cultural Revolution happened in China, where they burnt everything, every book. And you know what's funny about that? It was called the Great Cultural Revolution, or there was also before that the Great Famine. Wasn't that not funded by the Rockefellers? Was that not, right? Was that not funded by the elites? Okay. So let me get this straight. Now, I know that there was some before that, but we had the Great Depression, the Great Famine, the Great Cultural Revolution. Okay. Now, they want the Great Reset. Now, that is not an accident. That is on purpose. Okay. Now, if you don't know about these things, you definitely should learn about them. Anything that has the word great in front of it is not great. It's actually the opposite of great. Okay, so there is nothing great about a famine or a cultural revolution where they're literally trying to wipe out your 5,000 years of history because they don't want you to learn from the past. And what is that? Oh my God, that's the Communist Party of China, the Chinese Communist Party. So why would the Rockefellers fund the Chinese Communist Party, Mao, in the Chinese? It's because, they just want to basically test out communism so they can roll out to the rest of the world. Now, I don't know. Like I told you, I don't like coincidences, but where did this apparent batshit virus come from? It's kind of like, well, there's a connection between China and the Rockefellers. I mean, and not to mention that Trump, who, in my opinion, wasn't exactly the same as Biden, but why was it that a lot of these scumbags were starting to be found out and brought to justice during that time? I'm sure there was a lot more to be done, but unfortunately, they had to get rid of him because he wasn't really part of their plan, obviously. But also with the trade, the US China trade agreements didn't really agree on that. So everything just seemed to turn to shit from that point, right? So there's just a lot of things going on, but you could just ignore all of it. Learn the waves and understand that this stuff is cyclical. It's all connected. If you just learn how all the cycles line up between the bond yields, the US dollar, and the stock market, and how now cryptos. Well, I'm interested in cryptos because they have the craziest percentage gains when you do catch a trend. It's as simple as that. So once we hit that top and we start to go down about a 70, 80, 90%, who cares about 90% collapsing cryptos? Nobody cares about that. Literally, if you were still hodling, you're a proud hodler. What do you care, right? You're in it for the long run. Well, that's fine, but you're still going to cry a little bit at night. Maybe you lose a bit of sleep. Maybe you lose your girlfriend. Maybe you weren't as cool as you thought you were. But at the same time, if you can literally convert to a stable coin at the highs and then rebuy at the lows, what the hell is wrong with creating literally 1,000% profit, even more than that, over the next year or two because of all these wild swings that are coming due to this E-wave in the US dollar and also because of the way that the patterns work? I mean, that to me is a given. Well, that's what I'll be basically bringing you updates on. So I talk about it like it's nothing, but that's literally what I'm telling you I'm going to bring updates about. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then keep watching, keep tuning in. I literally post at the latest 2 weeks out. But if stuff starts to happen, I start to get more regular with my updates. Apart from that, when the market is quiet and I really don't see any point to post, maybe I'll put a trading view post out. But apart from that, I do come back. I don't just disappear. I have members. They always show up, and you know what? It's good to know what I think, and it's good to know what's happening in the markets. But it's also good to do your own research and watch these, videos of these people I recommend, because they give you a different insight into how things work, right? So you can start to form a picture in your mind, and then you're looking for how that works on the chart, right? It's okay to look at the chart and find the patterns, but then you start to wonder why it all happens. And that's the fundamental reason. But as I said to you, it's all based on human behavior. So it's all going to circle back to that human behavior, right? But it's so nice to know what these crazy people are thinking. So then you can kind of join some dots together and say, you know what? I kind of understand why you're so crazy. But at the same time, I'm trying to make money, so I really don't care about you and your narratives. And I'm only going to wear a mask when you're not watching. Apart from that, I'm just going to stay home and make money. So anyway, you guys, hopefully you found this one interesting, and I've carried on for the best part of an hour. So, keep, tune into my TradingView account. I do post on that one a little bit more often than the live streams, but you know what? Next month, I may decide to change the whole thing and start posting every day. I mean, it goes up and down. It's never a constant thing. It just depends on the mood of the markets, right? Because it's all social mood driven. So I'm just gonna post when I feel that it's exciting, right? But when it's boring, I'm kind of like, you know what? I want my members to post some things on the secret Facebook group just so we can see what they're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. Let's see if you're reading, learning the material and trying to understand what's going on rather than just following my ideas. And just I don't want people to follow me blindly. I want people to learn it and then maybe contribute to the group and share ideas. And maybe we could all, maybe you're right and I'm wrong. I want to build that community where we're kind of like we can have like a meritocracy, like Ray Dalio says, right? Meritocracy is a pretty good way to run things, right? Especially when it seems like the boss knows everything, but it's not true, right? Sometimes the boss is wrong. So Ray Dalio, pretty big fan of Ray Dalio there with the meritocracy ideas. And yeah, so just trying to keep it real as much as I can during these times. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll catch you on the next